Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my PowerPoint presentation. It's about challenges of wildlife management. Wildlife management groups are making great strides in protecting wildlife all around the world. Many groups have gone on for decades and are making some big successes as of today. However, not all management groups are as lucky as others. There are many times when management groups are prevented from being able to use the fullest extent of their capabilities due to multiple factors such as political, legal backlash, negative stakeholders, contradictory government laws, you name it. In areas like Ethiopia has one of the widest ranges of biodiversity on the planet, or arguably so. But many of these protected locations where wildlife are safe and protected, there's a bit of a stranglehold put on these places due to human expansion, deforestation, overgrazing, and other categories. And it's a tough fight. In other parts of the world, jaguars. Wildlife management groups are doing their best to protect jaguars, but as mentioned before, it's a tricky process, and the jaguars don't always get the safety and protection they require. So jaguars are susceptible to habitat loss, illegal trading, wildlife trafficking, vehicle collisions, and many other factors that have to do with their endangerment. The ethical ramifications of improper wildlife management can lead to a whole slew of problems, such as overexploitation of resources, pollution, illegal waste and dumping, illegal hunting and trading. Habitat loss is a big contributor in the decrease of biodiversity, putting a stranglehold on homes for animals in the wild. Global wildlife management policies. These are existing management policies that go on today, and many of these are backed by federal governments, which means they have a lot of rights and privileges preventing from stakeholders and any other contradictory parties from battling against these protected acts and services and policies. For example, the National Park Service. The national parks exist all across the country, and they are protected landscapes where no human can disturb them in the sense of construction, deforestation, loud mechanical noises, things of that nature. For example, when I went to Yellowstone even had policies against slamming car doors very hard. Even something as minuscule as that can have a big impact, for it disturbs wildlife within the area, and people can get fined for that. In Ethiopia, there's this company called the Pepper Company, and it has a government policy called the Elephant Pepper Development Trust, which improves the livelihood of farmers to benefit elephants who live in habitats near their locations. So in a sense, it prevents human-wildlife conflicts from happening. Many of these policies are quite effective. But even as government policies, they still have restrictions which may affect their work. Like I said, global wildlife management policies have some successes, but also have some issues trying to be as effective as possible. The National Park Service, their jurisdiction only goes so far. If animals go outside their borders, that means they're exposed to hunters and other factors. But even with some of the negative sides of these policies, there are some good. Going back to the Elephant Pepper Development Trust, like I said, they maintain a balance between farmers and elephants, preventing human-wildlife conflicts. But they also specialize in waste management. to prevent the improper and illegal disposal of waste products. As a division of the Environmental Protection Agency here in the United States, there's the Marine Mammal Protection Act, which decreases the deaths of marine mammals, who many of them are victims of bycatch and commercial overfishing. They managed to reduce the death toll of dolphins from 500,000 dolphins per year to about 20,000 per year, which is a major step, to say the least. How to improve the problem? There are many ways to improve wildlife management problems, especially when it comes to human-wildlife related issues. There are ethical approaches that could help people understand things from the animal's point of view, specifically the animal rights perspective. The importance of animal rights is that it enlightens people that animals should deserve the same privileges as us humans. Many people believe, oh, they're animals. What good can they do? Like, what rights should they deserve? Well, they should deserve every right. All life matters, doesn't it? We don't think to ourselves that animals need access to natural resources. Animals need spaces to call their own, to make habitats and find places to raise their young. Animals should deserve the protection in order to accomplish these things and go on with their day-to-day lives, just like we should have the space and the security to go do our day-to-day routines. So with the animal rights perspective, it gives people keen insight on what animals think. Yes, animals think. Animals have emotions. If we understand that, it could change our thought processes around, and it could inspire people to develop a sense of morality to the point where they might want to get involved in wildlife protection. How to augment these policies? I'm going to give an example of the National Park Service system. Like I said, they do a lot of good work, but their influence can only go so far, because their jurisdiction are only limited to these exact areas, these exact points in the United States. And because of that they have a restricted jurisdiction, if any animal leaves the park, they're free game for hunters, for vehicle collisions, and multiple other factors. However, the National Park Service shouldn't restrict where animals should or shouldn't go. They can't keep them limited to the border lines, because how are animals supposed to regrow their populations? That's part of the work they do. So it's unethical and contradictory to their main goal. However, if they had some sort of external security measures where animals can be still protected, or if they have like some sort of communication or network, more effective network between the national parks, ensuring the safety of animals even outside their borders, or maybe a little help from the federal government in that department, could do a lot of good. Don't know if such an idea exists, but it would be an effective idea. Because animals, they wish to explore and expand their numbers, which means the national park system is only effective for a certain amount of time. After that, animals don't know where to go, and if they wander outside their borders, they can't be protected. And these are one of the human-wildlife situations that could blow out of proportion if not done right. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's the conclusion of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much, and have a good one.